I'm Jeff Fritz with SoundStage.com, and I'm joined today by Dick Diamond. He is the Director of Sales and Marketing for YG Acoustics. YG is located in Arvada, Colorado. I was just corrected on my pronunciation of Arvada. Dick, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Jeff. How are you?
I'm super. And listen, I really appreciate you joining me today. I wanted to dive right into what's going on with YG Acoustics. It's one of the preeminent high-end brands of super high-end loudspeakers. Everybody knows the name, but there have been changes at YG, recently. And so let's jump right in there. Tell us about the current ownership of YG Acoustics and kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, so it's been over 4 years now that some new owners took over. It was a good thing for the founder of the company, who the company was growing so big it was just too difficult to run a business, do the engineering, and do everything. And so at that time, it made most sense to have some vested owners in the business. And our CEO is a fellow by the name of David Comatz. He has a partner, a fellow by the name of Steve Foreman. And under their leadership, we've had rapid growth, and it's been exciting. We've expanded the size of the factory. Back in those days, I think I started clear back in 2007 with YG Acoustics, and we had a unit, one unit in an industrial park that they'd had for several years. And as time went on, this singular unit turned into two, eventually turned into three, and now we have four of these equivalently sized units. So the factory is a fairly large place, and it's a happening and very busy business.
Yeah, I think when I visited you guys last, gosh, that had to be over a decade ago. It was either one unit or two. I can't recall, but
Yes.
it was definitely smaller. So that's great that you guys have expanded. Well, so the next question that I have for you, Dick, is about the design of the loudspeakers. Who
Yeah.
is currently designing the loudspeakers? What does that process look like when you guys are developing a new product? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's that's one of the most exciting aspects of the business now, is that we partnered with an organization by the name of CA. We call it CAS, Cambridge Acoustic Sciences, and they are in fact located in Cambridge, England, UK. And we have the relationship with this company is so tight. The head lead designer, whose name I'll mention in a minute, once said to me, he says, "Sometimes I don't know who works for who." So it's a very, very tight knit relationship that we have with this organization. The head engineer of that organization is Dr. Matthew Webster, a fellow that we had known for a number of years in a different business sense. And this gentleman and his partner are PhD astrophysicists. So not only do they have, an incredible interest in high-end audio, but they have the education to back it up, and it's very, very exciting. The field of astrophysics is very wide. I understand. It's certainly beyond my comprehension. But the field is wide and encompasses so much, and that's given us the ability to view all aspects of loudspeaker design. One of the other things, Jeff, that they've got is this 2 petaflop computer that they have on site that gives us the ability to compute more data and more basically aspects of speaker design all simultaneously. And in fact, sometimes when they want to crunch even greater numbers and do more simultaneous computations, they've even been known to rent the EC2 computer from Amazon. But from day-to-day stuff, their 2 petaflop computer is, I think, plenty. and gives us the ability to, on a computer, analyze all aspects of speaker design. And as you know, phase and frequency response are two of the major things that we've always, that's sort of been the reason for being with YG Acoustics, and it goes well beyond that.
Okay, so walk us through the process a little bit. They do the design in the UK. Do you guys do prototyping in Colorado, or how does that back and forth? What does that look like?
Well, it's been a combination of both. Yeah, certainly the design work and turning over all the rocks is done primarily at CAS in Cambridge. But when they're working on different parts and pieces to assemble a speaker, well, obviously we manufacture that in our own factory. They certainly have it's many times a day communication back and forth, and I'm sure a lot of it involves aspects of prototyping and engineering and producing a part under the specification of the engineer in Cambridge. So it's a very cooperative effort. But you're right. Anything manufacturing related, we handle, and the design aspect of things, or the engineering aspect, of course, comes from that region. And
Now, my next question that brings up one more. This is super interesting how that collaborative process works. Do you actually ship parts or
yes,
even finish loudspeakers back and forth? Is that part of the process?
that is correct. That is correct. And different parts and pieces go back and forth. If you need a faceplate, a front baffle, then it's manufactured and locally in Arvada in Denver, and then shipped over to Cambridge. So we have the shipping companies are very happy with us.
Yeah, yeah, that was going to be my next statement. Yeah,
Yeah,
your FedEx guy must be pretty
that's right.
busy over there. Well, that's pretty awesome. So, I looked at your website just before we got on the call, and I was familiar with all the speakers currently on there. Can you give us just some idea of what's cooking at YG? What can we expect in the next, year, 2 years, particularly since the shows are shut down? Product launches are,
Hmm.
they're handled in different ways these days. So just
That's
give
for
us give
sure.
us some insight, even if you can't give us a specific new model. Give us some insight on what you guys are working on.
Well, when we announced the partnership with CAS, one of the things that we had mentioned is that we really wanted to explore producing speakers in a bit more affordable category, as well as go beyond where our current offerings are. And so, as you can imagine, that's been a lot of the focus is to be able to take our technologies and the know-how that we have and be able to produce those in perhaps more affordable ways, and at the same time expanding the state of the art beyond where we are today. So the exciting thing is what could be coming down. Well, what will be coming down the road, and I wish I could speak more of that, but all I can say is stay tuned. I think it's going to be a surprise, and it'll be very welcomed and very exciting. So yeah, I'm very enthused. It's never been more exciting, more energized than it is at the present time. We have an incredible staff, or incredible group of people, a staff that at YG Acoustics, and the company has grown in terms of people. We're not the kind of company that needs 50 people to operate because we're very automated. You may have remembered on the visit that you made many years ago that we had a couple of CNC machines at the time,
Right.
and we now have 5 CNC milling machines. We also have a robotic polishing machine that's CNC driven. We have several coil winding machines that are CNC driven. So there's a serious investment in machinery, And that machinery is certainly more accurate than, a person hand carving a speaker.
Right.
Uh, and, it brings up images of Geppetto making, whatever Geppetto made. But yeah, it's highly automated. It takes operators to run the machinery. But once the program is set, the machines run themselves, and they're able to do things to much greater accuracy than you would otherwise using machines that are more hand operated.
Yeah, no, that's pretty impressive. It's always impressive, in fact, when we talk to companies and deal with companies that do
Hmm.
in-house manufacturing to that
Yeah,
degree. So Dick, I've got one more question,
yeah.
and I fully expect a diplomatic answer on this, but because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but looking
Sure.
at your website, the current iteration of the Hailey and the newer Vantage speaker, they're very close in size. Which is the better speaker?
The Hailey is the better speaker. Um,
Okay.
and that's a bit of a loaded answer because it's more expensive. But basically, we've got the Carmel, which is a two-way speaker. Then we have it's actually Carmel 2 in Series 2 form. Vantage is a three-way speaker using the same tweeter and midwoofer that's used in the Carmel, but adding an 8.5-inch woofer below that, so it's a three-way. The Hailey is also a three-way speaker, a little bit larger than the Vantage. The Hailey uses a 10.25-inch woofer, and the tweeter is the billet dome tweeter, which looks very similar to the tweeter we had for years, which is known as the Forge Core tweeter. The billet dome tweeter was introduced in our four tower Sonya XV speakers a number of years ago. And that made its way down to the regular Sonya 2 series. And as we became more efficient and proficient at producing the billet dome tweeter, which is very complicated, it finally made its way to the Hailey. And making its way down lower is not yet something that we perceive being able to do, but all is well in R&D and research. So, but yeah, so the Hailey is a better speaker by virtue of the bigger driver for the woofer and the billet dome tweeter, which takes the Forge Core tweeter just a step further.
No, that's good. When I was looking at the two side by side on the website, of course, I noticed the slightly larger dimensions of the Hailey and the larger woofer, but I missed the better tweeter, so that explains a lot. So, well, Dick, listen, thank you so much for giving us an update on YG Acoustics, and
My
it's
pleasure.
exciting about what's coming. We look forward to hearing more about those products in the coming months, hopefully, and hopefully the weather's good in Colorado. Hope you have a good weekend out there.
We will. And Jeff, what a pleasure to see you and speak to you. It's been way too long. We miss our friends in the industry. And so thank you for reaching out. And it's been a pleasure to speak to you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.